Welcome to the More Demand podcast, where we help you generate more demand for your products and services. Every episode we give you tips, tricks and tutorials on how to get the best out of your digital marketing. Less frustration, more demand. Here's your host Lawrence Howlett with this week's freshest tips.
Welcome to the More Demand podcast, episode 29. This week I have with me Joshua Smith. He's a real estate owner in the States. He's an entrepreneur as well and a coach. In fact, he was voted the 30th top realtor in America by the Wall Street Journal. He's in the top 1% of realtors worldwide, and he's sold over 3,500 homes and is selling more than one every single day. His company now has over 120 employees. He's launched a successful software as a service company, and he has a 90-day coaching program as well. This guy is an absolute thought leader and motivator. I can tell you, you're going to get so much out of this episode as we have a really good, honest chat with Josh and how he's got to the point he is today, what he thinks success looks like, how he achieves his goals all the time, and how he stays motivated. So this episode is going to get you fired up. It's going to be enabling you to GSD, get shit done. You know, Josh is an absolute master of this. So without further ado, let's welcome Josh on to the show. Hi Josh, welcome to the More Demand podcast. How are you doing?
Oh, doing awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, no, privileged to have you on the show as well. I know I've recently been on your show, so it's good to sort of reciprocate and have you back.
Yep, hell yeah, man. Yeah, we just launched you on our show, man. It was an awesome conversation, and like I said, man, really stoked to be here.
Yeah, cool. So I want to dive into your sort of background story and real estate. I mean, we call them estate agencies here in the UK, but just give me a bit of your story and bring us up to speed.
All right, yeah, awesome, dude. So, I got in this space, which is kind of common in every business that I've created, is they haven't happened intentionally, right? So I'm 23 years old, dropped out of college. I'm in the health club industry. And I realized at that point that I wanted to go out there and open up my own health club, my own facility at $1,000 to my name. Dropped out of college, so I couldn't get a loan. So I'm like, okay, let me go out there and raise this capital. And real estate seemed like the best space. I could afford to get into it. There was no earning capacity. So I was like, okay, this will be my vehicle to go out there, raise the capital and do that. So the goal was just to jump into the space to bank cash. And then very quickly, I always say that the health club business was my passion. Real estate very quickly became my obsession. And so I got into the business here in Phoenix, Arizona in 2005. Had a great first year. It's the biggest boom that Phoenix had ever seen. So everybody with a pulse was selling real estate. But the cool thing is because I was so new and so young, by the time the market crashed, I didn't have bad habits. I mean, everything was so new to me, and I was learning and adapting and shifting every day that I was able to transition very well with that. So I have my real estate team out here in Phoenix. Started my real estate team after my first year, which essentially just means you take it from being a solo entrepreneur to going out there and growing a business out of it. Having administrative staff and agents that work for you. I no longer actually work with buyers or sellers or sell real estate. All of my team does all of that, right? So we started having success with that, man. We just hit our 5,000th home sale. By the time I'm, 27, 28 years old, I was voted the 30th top realtor in America by the Wall Street Journal, and I just kept pushing, man. And then that just led to other things. I had no intention of ever getting into coaching consulting, had no intention of ever getting into software. It just happened through just working my ass off and pushing hard, dude. So I get the recognition out there. The next thing I know, I'm getting demand daily, asking if I coach and consult. And for 6 months straight, it was no. Finally, one day I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can figure something out. What don't I like about coaching and consulting? What do I like about it? How can we create this a win-win? So that business evolved out of that demand. As that business started to grow, we see this demand for software. And so that grew out of demand. If you asked me 2 years ago if I'd be in the software space, I'd say, hell no, I've never written a piece of code in my life. I know nothing about computers or softwares. But luckily there's a lot of brilliant developers out there that do. So yeah, man, it just all happened really through accident. And I don't want to say accident. I mean, it was pushing, doing everything I possibly could to become successful in that space. And it just continued and continues to create more opportunities.
So yeah, you shared the story there about your passion being the health club thing. Is that still something that you're pursuing, or was that a sort of took a sideline because this real estate thing grew so big and quickly?
Yeah, so it's still a passion of mine, man. 12 years ago, I was almost 300 pounds. And I was morbidly obese. I lost 118 pounds, and I've kept it off for over a decade.
Wow, so congratulations to that.
Yeah, thanks, brother. So, when you go through that, the amount of, it's just a game changer, from confidence to energy levels to, you don't know for a fact, but I don't believe I'd have near the success that I do if it wasn't for my health and my energy. I fell in love with that space because I wanted to give that same experience that I had to others. And it is, people being overweight, obesity, it's a massive epidemic, childhood obesity. So I've actually had numerous opportunities to jump back into that space. And now that I have the capital to go open up my own facilities, we've chosen not to go that path. Dude, it's just a lot of bricks and mortar, which is kind of scary with the way the economy is going.
Yeah, sure.
You're seeing a lot of memberships. They're giving these memberships away, and it's it's a scary model to get into. So one of the products that I'm actually working on right now, though, is we're creating a product it's going to be kind of like Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, but for the family, for health, fitness, nutrition, working with the parents, how to be the leaders of their nutrition in their household for their kids, because child obesity is just out of control. I'm still involved in that space, just not in the owning health club portion of it.
Yeah, sure. I think that's so important. It's something that we don't take enough focus on as entrepreneurs, as our health. And I was in a similar situation. I was 18 stone. Back quite a few years ago now. I'm now down to 13, fit and healthy, the most fit and healthy I've been for a lot of my life. And the energy that you get from it, you just don't know until you start these healthy eating habits and really go through that, and how you carry that into business. What does that sort of feel like in terms of being able to carry that into business?
Yeah, man. It's everything. When Richard Branson was interviewed, and I can't remember if it was Forbes or Fortune magazine, but they said, they asked him, what's the number one piece of advice that you'd give to any entrepreneur? And he said, work out. Right? That's the number one piece of advice that I can give to anybody. So if you do nothing else other than work out, start taking care of your health, everything else is going to improve and change. Because if you think about it, if you get in shape, your self-confidence goes up. When your self-confidence goes up, you're going to be better at every aspect of your life. Your relationships get better, your businesses get better. But dude, so today I operate 4 businesses, getting ready to launch my 5th. I've got 3 little kids, 7 years old, 6 years old, and 3 years old. So I couldn't do all of this if it wasn't for the energy levels. But what people don't understand, because this is probably the biggest question I get on a daily basis, is what do you do for your energy? I want that. I tell everybody exactly what I do, and then it comes down to they're just interested and they don't really want it. When I tell them what I do, they're like, "Oh no, I'm good." Yep. People that are just interested, they're not truly committed. The vast majority, anyway.
That goes back to your point. I heard right at the start, you've gone through the grind and the hustle, and that is just so important. I really, really like to get that point across, that things don't just land in your lap. You have to grind and hustle, and you're grinding and hustle in business and in fitness and in health as well. And it's that sort of combination that's a winning formula for you, I guess.
Yeah, there's no magic pill, man. The only magic pill that exists is consistency. And you hit this success, and people might think that you have exploded overnight. Because I get that a lot as well. Of like for example, I'm doing a lot of speaking events right now and sharing stages with like Mark Victor Hansen. Billionaires out there that are just the best people in their space, and people see me up there now and they're like, "Holy crap, man! You just exploded out of nowhere." I'm like, well, if you could say it's out of nowhere, but I've been an entrepreneur now for 11 years. I still to this day work 100 hours a week, so it appears that way at times, but it's not, right? It's that daily consistency, doing the unsexy, things. A lot of people think that business entrepreneurship is a sexy thing. I'm like, no, dude, there's parts of it that are, but probably 80-90% of my day is looking at spreadsheets and, doing the most mundane, boring ass things. But that's what creates that success.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me as well, I still do the grinding in the web development side of things. I'm chasing those calls. I'm ringing people, going through the call list, making sure that hustle and grind stage is fulfilled, because without that, no one else is going to do it for you. No one else. So that's a really, really important point. So if we just move, so we got a great background picture of what's brought you to this point. And you started up the GS Mode, Get Shit Done podcast, and started that up, went on to YouTube, and now you have nearly 10,000 subscribers. I think about 9,500 subscribers on there. So what did that journey look like? Talk us through what took you onto YouTube and how that journey sort of played out.
Yeah, dude. So I started my YouTube channel. It's probably been about I've had it for a long time, but it was, I want to say almost 3 years ago that I decided to get intentional about it. Right? So that intentional means multiple videos every single week. So I started getting intentional about it. But dude, talk about consistency. It's okay. The first 6 views, 8 views, 10 views, nothing. And it's like this for years, dude, until like the last 9-10 months. Then it just skyrockets, but it was that consistent year over year. And I think that's, and you alluded to it just a moment ago, but everybody's got to understand, dude, all of this is a marathon. None of this is a sprint. You guys got to quit sprinting, and millennials are the worst, right? Everyone's that instant gratification that, right now, it doesn't work that way. It for so very few, and even the few that it appears it was that way, it isn't, right? They may have achieved success at a young age, but they may have started grinding, in elementary school. You just don't know, right? So, but then I got intentional with the podcast, started the podcast because we wanted to expand it and grow it. With that, just to, especially, wanting to get in the consulting space, heavily and do some different things there. And you got to have the audience. You got to have the eyeballs. If you get the audience, you get the eyeballs, you deliver a powerful message. If you have a positive impact on enough people's lives, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't have some grand vision for it. I just know that if we continue adding value to people's lives, having a massive impact on people's lives, number one, I fulfill my greater purpose, right? You get to a point in life where you start doing a lot of reflection. Like, what is it that I want? And I start breaking down, well, okay, I've got these visions of being a liquid billionaire before I die and, all of that. But when you start asking yourself, like, okay, what if you had that right now, how would that make you feel? And I'm like, well, no, it's just a goal, dude. Once I make $1 billion, then I'll probably try to make 10 billion. I don't know if I feel great about it. What makes me feel great is having a massive positive impact on people's lives. And especially when you're able to go out there and have a positive impact on somebody's lives that will never probably be able to repay you, right? It's like I have this vision, dude, of like years after I'm gone, like this grandfather with all his grandkids around him has created a lot of success in his life, and the grandkids asking him, just interviewing him, how did you become successful? He came from nothing, he created all this success, and for somebody to say, hey, I met this dude named Joshua Smith. And his content or my conversation with him changed my thought processes, inspired me to go out there and turn my life around. That like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, right? That's awesome. Drives me more so than anything. And when you talk to the greats, a lot of people sit there and think because they're worth hundreds of millions or billions that they're greedy. And dude, it's never the case. I mean, these guys are the most giving. They have these grand purposes that are so much more than money. The money thing and greediness is just a cop out by people that don't want to work hard, right? So I mean, I don't necessarily know where it's going to go, but you just build that audience, keep having a positive impact on people's lives. And with our product sales, with even my real estate business, with referrals, I mean, it does have that impact because people do end up, I probably get 15 just real estate referrals for people's clients that are referring out here, which probably brings in 20, 30 grand a month of revenue just from that. Plus, they're buying the software and, all the other spaces. But my whole thing, there's 2 reasons I started the podcast. One was for my purpose, right? To give back on that level. And with that, number 2, and both of these are selfish needs. So when people are like, oh, well, it's so cool that you give back and you do. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it is, but I do it for a selfish need because it makes me feel good and fulfilled, right? So, and then number two was I was getting to the point where, I've been making 7 figures a year for some time now. I'm like, okay, how do I get to 8 figures? How do I get to 9 figures? How do I, get to this next level? And you're a result of 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, it's very difficult to get out there and start hanging out with and rolling with dudes that are worth $100 million. They're busy as hell, right?
Yep,
You've got a lot going on. So the podcast was a way to reach up. So you go out there, and I've had some of my greatest mentors on the show because we're able to share their message with our 100,000 plus monthly listeners. Our downloads that are on the show, help them grow their business and develop those relationships. Even if the podcast was never able to monetize, whatever, I would continue doing it just for those 2 reasons.
Yeah, sure. So with the podcast, just to sort of wind it back a level, is it specifically for real estaters, to share those sort of stories that can help them, or is it a wider sort of podcast?
No, dude, it's, we do have a lot of real estate agents on there. It's just what I'm known for, right? So, half of our followers, half the people that watch the show are in the real estate space. But there's a lot of real estate specific podcasts that exist. But a couple reasons most real estate agents fail is number one, because they're not committed, not willing to do the work, right? But the other reason is when they are committed to willing to do the work, they never look at it from the lens of an entrepreneur. And when you read books like The E-Myth, you could be the most brilliant practitioner in the world, but if you jump into the business space, you're not a great entrepreneur, you're going to fail. And failing may not mean you have to get out of the business. You're just meaning you're not going to go out there and succeed at hitting the goals that you've set for yourself. With that. So we interview a lot of just uber successful entrepreneurs like yourself that aren't in the real estate space, right? Sharing your guys' journey about overall business there. We've had Olympic athletes on the show, and it really is just about people that are dominating their space, that have set massive goals, went out there and accomplished those goals. And we've had professional kiteboard surfers and, different levels of people out there that are doing that. And we're continuing to expand that. People that dominate the health and fitness space or have had just amazing, epic journeys in that with that. So, yeah, again, it's 50% of it's real estate heavy because that's where our audience goes to. But we're trying to now transition where it's more just entrepreneur specific.
Sure thing. So you mentioned there, a lot about setting and achieving goals. So how do you get yourself in the mindset of saying, this is what I want to achieve, and then, trying to put that into a plan? What would be your sort of first steps? Because I've recently read, I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. I've recently read Pat Flynn's Will It Fly, which is a great book, and it really talks a lot about goals and how to make sure that they align with your own ambitions. So I know you've got a legacy purpose as well. So how do you go about setting yourself goals when you could just sit back, I guess, now and look at the software as a service thing, that's starting to build up, and you've got your team. How do you keep driving for those goals?
Yeah. Awesome question, man. So I had an experience when I was right before I dropped out of college, or as I was going into college, and then I stayed there a year after I dropped out of college. I was 21, 22 at the time. I was a nurse's aide on the hospice floor at a hospital in Michigan, and I was spending a lot of time with patients on their deathbed. This is right. The hospice is where they go before they expire.
Sure, yeah.
And having in-depth, deep conversations with people at that point in their lives. Now, I'm not a friend of or a family member. So they were being upfront and honest with me about all of their regrets. And man, I can't remember how many hundreds or thousands of patients. I wasn't keeping count at the time. But everybody had this massive shoulda, woulda, coulda list. I didn't meet one patient, dude, that was like, life was epic. I'm ready to go on to the next journey, whatever that may be. The only regret I have is I wish I had more time to spend with my loved ones, and I can't control that. Everybody had this massive shoulda, woulda, coulda list. Wish I would have married a different person, traveled more, been a better parent, went after my dreams. And you could see the pain in their eyes and their hearts, man. So at that time, I realized, and I woke up, that's the point in my life where I really woke up and started living life intentionally and went on the journey that I am on right now, that we all are going to have that ultimate conversation. I call it the ultimate scoreboard. We're going to be on our deathbed, and you're going to ask yourself, did I piss away this one gift called life I've been blessed with? Or did I go out there and create something epic? And it's all going to happen, right? So you can choose to wake up now or wake up once it's too late. So I do this formula. I do the math. the average person in the developed world lives to 84 years old. So I subtract that from my age. So right now I'm 34 years old, right? And then I'll prorate the months. So like right now I have 596 months left on planet Earth. The scary part is a third of that's wasted in sleep for most people, right?
Yeah.
So I got 596 months left before I'm going to have that conversation. And I do that every month, and I'm paying attention to that. Dude, because people spend more time designing their damn grocery list than they do their life plan today. They're just not paying attention, right? They're just trying to get through the day, not get from it. And I'm like, look, if I skate through like that, I'm going to die with a massive heart of regret. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So I stay hardcore focused on it. So then the question becomes, okay, what must happen between now and then for that conversation to go the way that I want it to go? Which is maybe, hey, I didn't accomplish my dreams, goals, and visions, but I know I got in the field. I played ball. I gave it my all, operated at my full potential. I have no regrets other than wishing I had more time. So I get intentional about that, and it changes over time. I've got 3 little kids now. I'm married, so things change over time. So I'm always reevaluating, always reassessing. But I call it the GSD mode model, the get shit done model. So number 1 is, what is the outcome that you want? And only one outcome for each aspect of your life that's important to you. So I have one outcome for health, which is energy management. One outcome for my wife. One outcome for my kids. One outcome for my business. So I set 4 pillars to that. What is the one outcome that I want? Like if this happened, this would be an epic year. This would be amazing, right? This would be a win. Number 2 is, what are the problems and obstacles in the way? Success is not an addition, it's an elimination. Everybody's always thinking, well, what do I need to add? What do I need to do more of? No, the real question is, what is prohibiting you from taking the action you know you must be taking to go out there and create the life that you want? And maybe it's a person. Maybe you married the wrong person. And if you're committed to your dreams, dude, you got to make those hard decisions of eliminating people, substances, habits, whatever it may be, so you can go out there and focus on those things, right? So, and then the third part of that is what are the must-do action steps to eliminate the problems and obstacles to make that outcome a reality. And I can send this to you if you want, if you're, you want to download it or whatever.
But it's just
so it's just a worksheet that I do. I redo it every 90 days. I view it every day, but I go through and I reassess it every 90 days. And that's what I'm basing my goals on. So I don't even set yearly goals at this point anymore. Everything's just 90-day increments, dude. Because a year's too much time. And things change so fast with technology and all this exponential growth, man. It's to me, a year's too far out. Like, I don't know what a year's going to look like. Let me get through the next 90 days. I can stay focused and clear for this 90 days, reassess, course correct if we have to course correct, and do that. And then every day when I wake up, so I get up at 3 a.m. So when you have 3 little kids and
wow.
All these businesses, dude, for me, it's the only way I can get up, have my, I have to have a lot of solitude in my life, dude. And I think it's part of it's because I have 120 people essentially that work for me, that need a lot of my time, with the podcast, and at any time I'm coaching, consulting over 1,000 people, so it's like, dude, I've got to have a few hours of solitude time every single day. And that includes the gym. But if I don't get up at 3 a.m., that's not going to happen. And so either that's got to suffer, or my businesses need to suffer, or my quality time every night with my family suffers. So at this point in my life, I'm like, look, I can sacrifice a little bit of sleep. But when I get up, dude, I hate it. Like, I'm as pissed off as anybody when that alarm goes off at 3 a.m. So I've got my goals in my notes section. So the second my alarm goes off, I review my notes, I review my goals, I review my outcomes. If you can't really see my behind the camera here, but I've got my vision boards everywhere, quotes of the most inspiring people to me. I've even went to the point where I've made my body a canvas with my goals, and I got the corniest tattoo on the planet: be more. Right? So, but what happens is 2:00, you get that brain fog, and you're here typing, and you're tired looking at the screen. I look down at my tattoo. I'm like, be more. I'm like, okay, I got to quit being a little bitch, suck it up, and keep grinding.
Yeah, do it.
It's not about you. It's not about your emotional state, and it's. Nobody's going to wake up and just be on fire every day, dude. You get these motivational speakers, and it's just a bunch of snake oil. It's a bunch of bullshit, dude. We all have rough days. Half the time when my alarm goes off, man, all I want to do is go back to sleep. That's it. But I've got 2 choices. I can lay my head in this pillow and dream, or get my ass out of bed and go turn those dreams into reality, right? So I then consciously choose to put myself in the right state of mind, and it's all throughout the day. So I might be grinding hard for 6-7 hours. Then you can get those mental blocks again. You get tired. You kind of lose it again. Well, then again, dude, I whip out the goals, whip out my affirmations. I might jump on the floor and do 10 burpees. Right?
I love that.
But just get myself back in that space to keep grinding. with that. And then the last key piece of that is making sure that you only align yourself with people that are choosing to level up. I don't align myself with people that are necessarily at where I'm at or at a higher level. I want to only align myself though with people that level up. I don't care if you're making 30 grand a year or making 30 million a year. If you're choosing to level up, if you have big goals and you're about growth, I'll roll with you. So everybody in my organization, everybody has to be growth driven, dude, and leveling up. And I'm very intentional about that. If anybody's just trying to be stagnant in life, dude, if we're having a conversation like, oh, dude, did you see the game? I'm like, bro, we're just, this isn't a room I want to be in.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what the hell we can go out there and create, So that's how you stay motivated and stay focused on those goals. At least what I do.
Yeah, well, that resonates so much with me. I can't say that I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I was definitely up this morning, did a HIIT training session. Got myself ready, had a look at what I wanted to achieve. I've got 3 statements that I read every single morning for my 3 different companies, and I just read those statements, think, how am I going to serve these people today? But no, there's some really, really good points in there. Especially about looking at the problems and obstacles and saying that if you solve them, that's the pathway to success, rather than some magic bullet, or YouTube's going to be my silver bullet for getting 10,000 subscribers. Actually, it's not about that. It's about looking inside yourself, I guess, and thinking where do you want to be. And I love the analogy there of having 500 months and the sort of ticking clock analogy, because that that just puts it in complete picture. That is serious stuff, and you have to wake up and go, right, are we going to do this now, or when's it going to happen if not?
Yep. Yeah, I always ask people, all my coaching clients are essentially entrepreneurs, right? And I'll ask them, one of the first questions I ask them is, do you honor your life more than money? And they all say yes. And I'm like, dude, you're full of shit. Right? I mean, you inspect your P&L statement every single month, you dissect it, but you're not paying attention to the months that you have left. I mean, look at this, dude. I mean, what are we, April now of 2016? I mean, do these months just fly off the calendar? If you had $596 left in your bank account, you'd be watching where every dollar went. People just have to wake up, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's some really good advice, definitely. So, you've created a coaching program. You're now getting into software as a service as well with the perfectstormnow.com. What does success look like for you, and how do you put a yardstick? So we've talked about the goals and how to set them and achieve them, but how do you set a yardstick out there in terms of success? I know you've talked about helping people, but let's take the perfect storm now, for example. When or if do you think right, I've reached that success, now here's the next part of it?
Yeah, I don't think there ever will be a point of, to me, I define success this way: operating at my full potential in any aspect of my life that it's important to me. So is my marriage successful? Well, maybe it's not perfect, it'll never be perfect, right? But if I'm operating at my full potential and being the best husband I possibly can be, then I consider that successful, right? Same thing with my kids, same thing with my businesses. But the cool thing about when you set or define success that way is it can never be reached. There is no finish line for me. The finish line is the box, dude. Right? When this is all over, because I'll never be able to reach my full potential. You get to a point, you're like, oh, there's more. We can take it to the next level. It's just that expansion. So then people will sit there and say, oh, well, dude, you're never satisfied. I'm like, no, I am never satisfied. I always know I can do more and capable of more. However, there's a difference between being satisfied or not satisfied and being grateful for what you have. So I believe in gratitude and blessings, and it's like Einstein said, there's 2 types of people: the people that are wishing for miracles or don't believe in miracles, and then the people that think everything is a miracle. The fact that you have 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels wrapped up in this epidermis that we have, it's just insane. It's like everything is a freaking miracle, and if you look at it with the right lens, you're going to have that gratitude. I had a guest not too long ago that was on the show, and it really resonated with me really well. And he said he defines success now, at least financial success for his business, of knowing that he can go to bed every single night, wake up, have lost everything, but knows for a fact he can go out there and recreate it. So you don't have those worries anymore of that, because I sit there a lot of times, I'm like, okay, well, I talk about wanting to be a financial or a liquid billionaire. Well, when I get there, what's that going to look like? Well, to me, again, it'll just be the next level. So it's not, I definitely don't have the yardstick, man. And to me, I just want to keep expanding, keep growing. And if I'm just getting a little bit better every single day and continue to grow, because let's plan it, dude, you're growing or you're dying. People that are chasing stability, I just want a stable relationship or a stable income. Dude, good luck with that, right? You're either growing or you're dying. So as long as growth is happening, I consider myself having success in that aspect of my life. Is it where I want to be? Hell no. And I don't think it ever will be. But again, it doesn't mean that I lack that gratitude.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's an awesome answer. Yeah, definitely a badass answer, as I think you'd say over there, for sure. So what gets you excited right now? What's the most exciting thing that you're working on right now?
Oh, dude.
I'm going to put you on the spot and
I like it. It's a great question, man. So I've got so many exciting things, dude. So, and again, and I'll just keep on business here because a lot of, with my kids are at that age where, my daughter's she's in second grade. I've got one in second grade, one in kindergarten, one that just turned 3. So that age where, that's so much fun, and taking them snowboarding and hiking and getting that age where all of that. So, that excites me, thinking about the weekends and, what we're going to set up and do there. That aspect excites the hell out of me.
I just had some family over, and we just did a puppet show at the weekend, and that was awesome. I've been there with you.
Yeah, so with your businesses, man, again, one thing that I'm always excited for is because I'm so focused on that growth. Every time I've not been excited in my business, or I've got to the point where I'm really not enjoying it, it's because, dude, I just kind of leveled off. I quit trying to grow, quit trying to expand, quit trying to add new things, So like Perfect Storm, we've been a front-end website lead generation site for the last 8 months. And it's exploded. We've gained 400 clients in 8 months without spending a penny on marketing dollars. And right now we're building out the back end, the CRM portion of that. That'll be launched in September. So that's exciting as hell to take that business to the next level. My real estate business right now, we just opened up a new office, a new building, and we're working on right now creating a 16-person ISA, essentially a call center team that will help. Hopefully, our goal is here, hope to go out there and quadruple our business with that. So we're working on that right now within my coaching consulting space. I just brought on a vice president of sales to help with that. We're automating a lot of things there. So, dude, every day I'm just excited about all of it, bro. But again, it's the growth that excites you. It's Here's what we're at. What's the next level, and taking action steps. I don't have a day ever where I wake up not excited.
Yeah, that's an incredible journey to be on, and I think so much of our audience is going to resonate with that in terms of feeling excited about the next step in their business, whether they're just starting a business, and that really exciting build sort of phase, or whether they're optimizing performance in terms of they want to optimize their conversion rate optimization, or whatever it is in their business. Being excited about it just allows you to enjoy it, and you'll put more effort and get more out of it as well, I think.
Yep. And like I said, man, anytime I've lost excitement in my business, it's because I've got comfortable and we just started coasting. Right. And I think entrepreneurs, we're builders, right? We've got to be growing and expanding. And the second we stop growing and expanding, we start decaying internally inside, and eventually our businesses will start decaying. So if you're at that point, man, just grow, dude. Just start some new shit in your business and expand. And every single day, I'm ripping apart my systems of how can I get more effective, how can I get more efficient. I'm breaking those down and just making sure that we're on that path.
Sure. So just to wrap up, because we've been chatting for about half an hour now. So just to wrap up, what are some of the tools? Because we love to talk about the tools behind the scenes of how people automate. For example, you're talking about automation. What are some of the tools that you can live without in the digital marketing space?
That I can't live without?
Yeah.
All right, so with digital marketing, our biggest push now, or I shouldn't say our biggest push, or where we're getting most of our business from is through webinars. Webinars have been a big game changer for us. I love to public speak, but here's a quick example. Like next week, I'm going to be in Kentucky speaking to 1,000 agents out there, right? But I got to take off 3 days for my business. I got to fly across the country and go out there and do that. I can do that from in my office, without leaving my office, from this microphone right here, have 2,000 agents, and it takes 2 hours of my time and costs me less money. You know, so the webinar game has been massive for us. Dude, it sounds so basic and simplistic, but I use the hell out of Google Drive, man. Like I love and live by Google Drive. It's free. I'm cheap as hell, and I'm only cheap as hell because I've always been, since I got into business, a high income earner. But I got to a point where I lost everything because I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't being fiscally responsible with my money. So I had to wake up from that and learn to be very fiscally responsible. So Google Drive and all my businesses, we use the hell out of that, which I know some people think is kind of archaic, but works for us and works great.
Definitely. Yeah, we use it all the time. I mean, I'm looking right now at a screen with all my notes in a Google Doc. You know, Google spreadsheet we use. Everything is in Google Drive. You know, absolutely everything. So I completely agree with that one for sure.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to tie it to, okay, we've got our, when I talk about webinars, okay, we're utilizing Lead Pages and Infusionsoft, but look, dude, I mean, it can happen with any type of software, right? But the webinar itself, and I don't care what webinar software you use, I mean, it's just a massive game changer, because today people aren't going to invest in your product or your business until you have a positive impact on their life. Like, you got to go out there and impact them in a positive way. It's like with our webinars, I go out there and I deliver 2 hours. My goal is always to make this the best 2-hour training experience that they've ever had in their life. Like, they can't even go pay and get this information, have that massive positive impact. So then when I ask them at the end to buy my advanced training product, number one, I never get nobody's pissed off about it. Nobody's, there's no flack, because it's not a dangle the carrot sales pitch. I've had that positive impact. But here's the cool part about it, right, is whether they buy or not buy, because most don't buy. I've got 5% of those that show up for my webinars that buy my product. They get on the podcast, right? Well, then they start telling their friends about us and their buddies in their space. Well, then their buddy might come and buy. So just because people aren't buying from you doesn't mean that they're not. It's not going to be successful. And then this, dude. I mean, this right here, my cell phone.
Yeah.
I mean, just you can't replace the phones. What's killing it right now in the sales end for us, though? I mean, we dial. I mean, I have, like, my sales manager for my consulting. He's doing 600 dials a day. Right? Mojo triple power dialer, 600 dials a day. What's slaying it, though, is video text messages. We just do 15-second videos, and then, I mean, we're sending out probably 300 video text messages every single day, and that's what we're converting at the highest level with our sales. Because, like you and I talked when you were on my podcast, you can generate all the leads that you want. Leads are critical. I look at leads as, hey, leads are the fuel to my vehicle. I need to have those leads coming, and then my database, my sphere of influence, my list is the vehicle itself. Right? But then what still has to happen? You got to have the leads, you got to have the fuel coming in to the vehicle, but then you got to get your ass in that vehicle and drive it. So and nothing beats this for reaching out to people. I mean, email marketing is great. We do a lot of it, but this is where the power happens with sales.
Yeah, definitely. I've found that so much in the web agency space. You can send out the email, you can send out the quote, but unless you get on the phone and talk to the person, the decision maker, and just follow them up every single day, you just do not get conversions. And then, you'll send them an email 2 weeks later saying, hey, how's the project going? How are you progressing with it? Oh, we selected another agency, because we haven't phoned them every single day for 2 weeks to follow it up. It's so important to do that. And actually, I love the little video analogy. I know of a building company, a friend of mine that runs that. He just sends a little text message, a video text message every single day to his client to just show them around the house, because their clients were worried that the builders are in the house all day. Was it a mess? And, things like that. So video and communication is the key, making sure that you're communicating all the time, on time, with the message that the client or the prospect wants, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't care what business you're in. At the end of the day, we're all in the human resource, human connection business, period. Like, I'm not in the real estate space. I mean, my job is to help human beings accomplish their goals, which happens to be buying and selling real estate. Your job is to go out there and help them with their goals, which is to develop a great website that does brilliant at lead generation. But if I don't get them on the phone and understand what their problems are, and then show them how I can solve their problems, ask the right questions, it can't be done in email marketing. And here's what and I'm not saying emails aren't effective, guys. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do it all. Phone call, text, email. I mean, we're blasting it all. But people are just so inundated with this stuff, dude. And what I love about it is because everybody's going so hardcore with the automation, so very few people are calling. I find now that the more old school I go back, the more success that we're having, because everybody's just try to get so hardcore away from that, you have far less competition then.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting that you've actually gone back to the sort of traditional marketing methods. Maybe you're using sort of inbound marketing or something to bring those leads in, but as soon as they're there, you're actually doing those dials, and trying to get them on the phone, which is sort of takes me to the Wolf of Wall Street film, and it's dial the phone. I love that part of the film is just awesome. So pick up the phone and start dialing. So well, Josh, look, I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute blast to have you on.
Yeah, massive honor, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's it for another episode of the More Demand podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. The cheat sheet will be on episode number 29, moredemand.co.uk/episode 29. So go and grab that cheat sheet, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the More Demand podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on iTunes and get the latest episode direct to your device every Wednesday.